Welcome to February's Compass training video. I'm glad you're here because it's our mission to provide you with world-class throws training information to help you succeed in coaching. In today's video, we're going to cover 4 parts. Part 1 is the difference between off-season and in-season throws training. Part 2 is 3 key drills for rotational shot put, discus, and shot put glide. Part 3 is an inside look at how to run an effective practice. And part 4 is the lifting demonstrations for February's lifting program. So get ready for an in-depth look at throws training. Grab a notebook and pen, and let's dive into today's video.
Hi, my name is John Bowman and this is Kyle Abney. Our coaching is born from world-class shot put and discus technique. We want to share that world-class technique with you. This world-class knowledge changed our throwing, and it will change yours too.
So in this portion of our video, we want to talk about the difference between in-season and off-season throwing. So there is a difference depending on what time of year you're in, like what focus you're going to have with your throwing practice, what that might look like, and then want to give you the overall picture of with volume, what a season might look like. So Kyle, would you want to start with that?
Absolutely. So essentially think of a rainbow. So it's going to be in the beginning, it's lower volume, and you simply systematically build volume to the peak volume middle point of your season, and then you go back down for the peak in the season. So starting point, low volume, you build, middle of the season, you're at your highest volume. And then when you want to start peaking, so maybe 6 weeks out, 4 weeks out, whatever it is, you start lowering that volume, not drastically, but it should look roughly the same. So that looks differently depending on the program, what you guys have, your resources, how many days you're practicing. But that could look something like throwing 3 days a week for 2 weeks, then the next 2 weeks you do 4 days a week, the next 2 weeks you do 5 days a week. You hold that everyday throw-in, hitting 20 to 40 reps per session, and then you go back down following the same thing how you climbed, but decrease it down to the peak point of your season.
The thing I like about that is sometimes when we think about peaking and trying to throw our best at a certain time, we kind of get caught up in like what exact workout are we going to do. And essentially peaking, and this is what he was saying, peaking is related to volume. So the reduction of volume is what sends your performance up. So if you're done in a systematic way, in a careful way, then that produces pretty consistent results.
Absolutely. One more thing to note too, just kind of the ideas behind that. Starting with low volume, it's important not to just jump in and kill your athletes. I mean, even things like hand injuries, wrist injuries, discus finger, that type of stuff. You just build to where you can tolerate the volume, and then you add in more until you tolerate the volume, until you add in more. And you want to get to that peak point because you get more reps, and reps is going to be king for technical changes, for just developing the overall throwing in the athlete in it. And when you come back down, you start getting real fresh with those technical changes, and you can start really throwing yourself into shape, starting to get the competitive form down, getting fast, getting explosive, and just getting that feeling of just slamming the shot or the discus.
So what would be some of the differences and practical differences? So I have a list here of what in-season compared to off-season throwing might look like. Off-season throwing, you may have more focus on stand throws and half turns, probably have more time spent doing drills and looking at video and trying to determine what direction you want to take with technique, and probably more time spent on lower intensity throws. So it's not like you never throw hard, but when you're working on technique and you're trying to fix some things, sometimes you got to spend time doing the drills like we mentioned in today's video, and then just spending time between that 40 and 70% intensity range, trying to feel things out. And then for in-season, you're probably going to spend more time doing full throws. So, you've spent the off-season or pre-season learning the different pieces of the technique, so you're going to be spending more time with fulls. You'll probably spend more time on throwing harder, like 85% intensity and up, and more time spent on feeling and rhythm, working on the 1, 2, 3, and
and body posture, not so, especially towards the end and in the peaking, not so hardcore on technique, but more on what helps you throw farther, what makes you feel better in the ring.
Each month we want to dive into how to set up a practice, kind of give you guys a template or ideas on how to organize things and keep it running smoothly. So in January we kind of introduced the idea of you as a coach picking what event you're going to be on each day. So for instance, Monday being shot put, Tuesday being discus, Wednesday being shot put, Thursday being discus, just going back and forth and splitting your throwers into two groups. So half of your throwers will be with you, starting with you at the event you're at, and then the other half will be on their own at the other event. And then halfway through the practice, they switch. So you still see everybody, but you're really able to focus and dive into that one event. So I think that works really, really well. It allows you to plan ahead. It allows you to pick your groups. It allows you to see everybody intentionally in each practice. Because if everybody's doing their own thing and you're floating around, it's not real intentional. Something's going to get left out. So again, that template works. But to dive in a little bit deeper on what that's going to look like. So let's say it's Monday. You guys warm up together. You bring them together. You start practice. You introduce the game plan. Hey, I'm going to be at shot put today. I want Group 1 with me. Group 2, you're going to start at discus. And then halfway through, we're going to switch so everybody knows what's going on. And then Group 1 at shot put, they're good to rock and roll and start warming up. But you give Group 2, the event you're not at, you give them the game plan. So they're at discus. You say, hey, I want you guys hitting sets of 3 throws. I want one set of stands, one set of halves, and then the rest of the sets at fulls. You guys really focus on full loaded turn out of the back and driving forward into the ring. So it's not super intentional because you're not there, but they have a game plan. So they know what to shoot for. They know, okay, I got one set of stand throws, one set of half turns, and then we're rock and rolling into fulls. So they're good. Now you go back to shot put, the event you're at, and then you start diving in. Again, give them the game plan, but you can be a little bit more flexible and cater it towards each thrower. So we like to do typically 2 sets of 2 for shot put, and then sets of 3 or 4 for discus. So sets of 2 for shot put would look like a set of stand throws, a set of half turns, and then a set of fulls, or a set of stand throws, and then a set getting right into glides. Someone's throwing, that person that throws immediately goes out into the field to retrieve, and then they just keep doing circles. I don't think it needs to be said, but just safety first. So if they're out there retrieving, they're not goofing off, they're obviously not on phones, they're paying attention, they're watching, they're getting the shot, and they're dishing them back. So they can be quick sets. And make sure the people that are waiting are behind. They're not on either sides where it can get wild and then endanger any athletes. So sets of 2 for shot put and sets of 3 or 4 for discus. Give the off group their game plan and have a game plan for the on group, but you can be more flexible to kind of walk them through it as you guys go. And that's where you have the freedom to, once they get into full, start implementing the drills as you see fit, like we talked about. So if Timmy is struggling with pulling, hey, let's try a step out walking speed. Let's see how that goes. You can talk through it. 1 step out walking speed, 1 step out with rhythm for the next set. Okay, that was good. Let's go 1 step out with rhythm, and then let's get back into the fulls. Then the next set you see, then let's just go fulls until it falls apart again. Don't do that over there with the off group where you're not with them. Just keep them going on getting the fulls and hitting the fulls. It's the idea of not letting best become the enemy of better, but they still have some direction over there. And then when 30 minutes to an hour hits, however long you guys' practices are, you say switch, the group switch, then you do the same thing. So hey guys, before you get to discus, I want you guys doing 1 set of stands, 1 set of halves, and then get to fulls. Focus on full loaded turn and driving forward into the ring. Go on and go. Then the new group that gets the shot put, sets of 2, yada, yada, yada. You guys get the idea of that. Again, I can't stress enough, the off group, when you're not with them, make sure if they're doing the template of someone's out there retrieving while someone's throwing so they can dish back the implements, make sure they're watching. Make sure they know, head on a swivel. You're never back to the thrower. Always watch. We even do like a day where I show them, it's kind of silly, but how to retrieve. Just to be extra safe about that. So if that gives you kind of an idea of how to dive in a little deeper with those groups and how to organize the practice. I think another point too is we talked about separating the groups, but starting the practice off with a talk and a brain session is huge. And diving in a little bit what that brain session can look like, have a video on your phone. We even do a group me where if I see a video I like that we're going to talk about, like Ryan Krauser's slow motion throw where he set the Olympic record, I will send that link in that group me. Then everybody can pull up their phones, hit the link, and we're watching. So I can say things like, hey, notice out of the back when he gets fully turned, he's loaded, he's on balance. Okay, I want you guys to close your eyes, picture that in the throw, walk through it, feel it. Okay, let's reset. See how he got his left foot down flat and open. He's ready to push through the ball. So you guys see how it's kind of a good, everybody's on the same page. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I can feel it, I can see it. So get a group me. It's really, really easy, really, really good, cool app. And just get organized in there. Get everybody together, get them talking, get the brain session going, and then you break off in the groups, and then you dive into the group you're at, but the off group has a game plan. Then you switch, and so on and so forth. I hope that gives you guys a little bit of a clear picture, a little bit deeper detail of how to run a practice. All right, guys, we're going to cover the top 3 drills to implement in your practices. This one, we're going to do discus first. It's going to be step out drill, no rhythm, so walking speed. The second one is going to be step out drill with rhythm. And the third one is going to be a discus release drill that John's going to explain. So up first is going to be step out drills, walking speed. So John, why don't you go ahead and just demonstrate that one time with the release. Beautiful. Nailed it. Go ahead and get in the back of the ring again. Okay. So as you guys can see, the point of this is to really break down the rotation. So really it has 4 main parts. It's going to be the turn, step 1, step 2, and then the finish. Now we do walking speed to really, really exaggerate the feeling of strong hips, strong and full rotations, and really just feeling the positions. Because a lot of times the athlete will want the speed, want the rhythm, and really pull out of positions. So get in the back real quick and turn out for me. Beautiful. A couple cues here is strong hips, the left foot fully turned, and that right foot really getting around or fully turning into running position. So start over one more time. Go for it. Good. Full left foot turn, nice and loaded, nice and balanced. And as you can see, he is in a perfect, balanced, strong, good upright torso position to sprint forward into the ring. So from this strong sprinting position, he's going to walk forward into one step. Go for it. Good. So now he's fully loaded on top of his right. He drove his body. He sprinted forward. Now he needs to get his left foot flat and open, rotated to the front. Go for it. Notice he did not unload from the right. He stayed on top of it, he rotated it, and now he's in a perfect power position where his left foot is flat and open, he's loaded over the right, and he's ready to push the discus. Now finish. Beautiful. So the reason these are important, so it's really a beginning stage to teaching the rotation. So one, if someone's new to it, you can implement these into practice. If you're teaching the rotation, it's a new concept. It's just really controllable. It's easy. It's kind of a level 1. But it's also great if someone's having trouble. So even if someone's an expert level, but they're pulling, they're not feeling that entry, they're not fully turning, that's kind of up to you as a coach to see that, and then you can kind of have that light bulb moment. Okay, let's break it down. Let's do some step out drills, walking speed, just to easily feel strong forward rotations. That full turn and those 2 forward rotations down the line, then a good finish into the discus. Okay, now on to step out drills with rhythm. So it's the same concepts. You have the turn, but now it's not broken apart into 2 forward steps. It is an actual drive into the ring with a rhythm or full finish. So John, go ahead and demonstrate that before we talk about it. So really this is it's very applicable if someone's really rocking and rolling, but they just maybe keep under turning and pulling into that finish, or if they're just pulling down, not staying level into that sprint. So it separates the turn from the rest of the throw. So you're kind of turning into a South African, but there's a lot of value into separating the rotational energy into the linear rotational energy. So it really kind of accentuates that. So one more time, go ahead and step out. Good, strong hips, full loaded turn with that foot. He's in his sprint lane, so he has a good mental picture of now it's time to drive forward into the ring and push the discus. Go for it. Good. So again, this is kind of a step up from the walking speed on the step out drills. So really implement if someone is doing good, maybe just missing that turn a little bit. Separate the turn from the rest of the throw. As a coach, you can kind of implement the rhythm with that. 1, 2, 3. Sprint, right, left. So they can turn out, pause for a second. You can audibly say 1, 2, 3. Then they go for it and try to match it with their throw.
For all practical purposes, this turn out of the back is probably the most complicated part of the rotation. So there's days when you just have to grind through it, you just have to do a lot of reps. But when you're working on technique, and especially when someone's learning how to do the spin, like I have an athlete that I've worked with who can do a stand throw and a half turn very well. But once they get to the full turn, everything falls apart. And so this drill is perfect for him, because then, again, he takes the pull from the beginning, takes that out, gets out here, and he can still work on that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because the rhythm is super important in the success of the throw. And a lot of times I like to, when everything's a progression, you do some walking step outs, then you do some with rhythm, but maybe do a walking step out, then a rhythmic one, then a walking, then rhythmic, walking, rhythmic, and then rhythmics, and then maybe you end up with full throw. So there's just, again, a piece of the practice and how you set it up for the day. All right, guys, so the third drill we wanted to talk about is I would categorize as release drills. And release drills are probably the foundation to learning how to throw. So these are to be used especially for new throwers, and then again, maybe in the off season when you first start getting into throwing after athletes have been out of it for a while. But for discus, for example, the release drills are important because how the discus comes off the hand is extremely important. So getting the athlete comfortable to have it in the hand is very good. And so I like to teach the release in 4 parts. And I'm going to go run through this quickly, but the main meat of this will be the drill we do here. But essentially, have the discus in the hand, and then the athlete needs to be able to swing it at their side with a straight elbow, straight wrist. Again, discus just setting on the fingers and feeling that tension push into the hand, into the fingers. So once that's established and an athlete can swing at their side, then essentially you just move and swing it in front of you. Again, nothing crazy here. You just keep the elbow straight and the wrist straight, and let the centripetal force keep the discus in your fingers. So once that's established and an athlete is able to do those things, which they should be able to do in 5 minutes, learn that. Now we want to figure out how to release it. So the discus comes off your index finger, and it rolls in this direction. So rather than coming off the back of the hand, it comes off the front. So from that, say I'm throwing into a net because we're indoors here, but you can do this outside, doesn't matter. Just have both feet facing forward to where you're going to throw. And again, you wind the discus up in front of you, and the goal here is to release the discus perfectly flat. So again, your athletes may want to like scoop and throw it up, but the point here isn't to throw the discus. This is a release drill. We want the discus to come out of the hand flat. So again, we wind up, shoulders pretty level. We're literally just going to throw exactly straight into the net or level in front of you. Our goal is to have the discus fly flat and have a lot of rotation. Once your athletes are able to throw the discus flat repeatedly, again, perfectly flat, from there you add a little bit of height to the throw. And again, when we throw the discus, we're throwing it in flat in relation to our torso. The height of the throw comes from a lean. Does that make sense? So again, we're still throwing perpendicular to our torso. It's just our torso is pointed, and that's what causes it to go up. So that's why we want to learn how to throw flat, because then once we start throwing up, it's still, again, we don't want to throw up with our arm. The discus is always 90 degrees from, the arm's always 90 degrees from the torso. So the second piece of the drill is that first you were both feet together. Second drill is you drop that right foot back. So where you were here, winding up level, now you drop that right foot back again, knees, hips, shoulders pretty much facing the net. But now you can see I kind of have an arc with the discus, and that's following the angle of my torso. I leave my arm in front of me, and I swing and throw. The point is have the discus fly flat with a lot of spin and about that 37-degree angle. So then the third part, or the last part of this release drill, again, remember, all of these are drills, not necessarily practicing the stand throw. So, but the third part here is, so first, you had both feet facing forward. Second, you had the right foot back. Now the third part is you're going to open that right foot. So now what we've done when we open the foot is now our hips are facing the side. Again, left arm stays up here. Now you can see I have a much bigger orbit or path with the discus. And this is very close to our actual throw. Again, our goal is to have the discus leave flat. But what we're doing here is loading that right leg a little bit. Boom. And we push. So again, in discus, and even in shot put, it matters how it comes off your hand, but then a good release comes from work with our legs. So that's why we built up to be in a spot where we could push with our legs, use the hips a little bit to release the discus. So these drills I would use when you get back into throwing, getting a beginner to learn how to throw the discus. Honestly, a couple days of this, we really get someone to throw okay, and then can move on to more complicated parts.